everybody is born with a little something extra, and sometimes they just have to find it. A little something extra is that superpower that every single one of us has inside that motivates us and drives our passion and makes us do the things that we do.
We're all on the same team. Let's think about how we can make that team as inclusive as we can.
For those of you listening to our podcast right now, you can also check out our video podcast at alittlesomethingextrapodcast.org.
Who's getting the party started, me or you? You? All right, you better bring on the energy.
And you also better hold that microphone.
All right.
There you go.
Sorry. Hey everybody, we're back at our podcast with my mommy.
Woo!
The Nancy.
The Nancy. Oh, I'm the Nancy now?
Yep.
Franco, we're moving up.
We are moving up in
And
this
Franco
world.
too.
Oh,
The Franco.
and the Franco.
Woo!
And actually me. The DJ.
There it is. Yes, we are back. Yes, another episode of A Little Something Extra. We are so excited to be here, and I'm beyond excited about our next guest because I've been working really hard not to dig too deep into him because I love him. I love everything he does, but I want to hear about it from him. I want to hear his why. I feel so blessed. I feel like he's like my brother from another mother. I totally get everything he says and does. And I'm so proud of him as a mother. Like I look at what he's doing as a father and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I'm just so excited to have him. So anyway, Franco, give us his bio so we can get this party started because I'm very excited.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really excited too. I think that this is definitely a guest that I think, for me too, but you especially would resonate with so much as being a couple different life coaches out there. So anyway, today we're excited to have a special guest. So we have Kenneth Allen Thomas, known as Kenny Clutch on social media. He's a motivational speaker, leadership coach, and a dedicated family man. His passion for personal growth and empowerment has led him to help countless executives and entrepreneurs and so many people thrive both in their careers and their personal life. And he's also the owner of Level Dance Complex and a strong advocate for resilience. So Kenny's been sharing his personal story and his journey on social media. And I should also mention that he has a son with Down syndrome. So he's also an advocate in the Down syndrome community as well, and a fantastic one at that. So Kenny, we want to hear more from you and all about your story. So welcome to the show, my man.
Oh man, thank you guys for having me. I'm super excited to be here. It is going to be an amazing day. We're gonna get to know each other, learn something, and let's see if we can provide something for the audience here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the most important thing. That's why it's called A Little Something Extra. We're just hoping by people sharing their little something extra that we're just sprinkling little seeds out there that are going to blossom into something amazing because everybody's born with that little something extra. Sometimes they just have to find it and it's in there. So you, my brother, have found it and you are doing it on so many different levels too. Like yes, Down syndrome is one thing, but motivation for everybody is another thing. Like you are just doing everything. So I would just love to hear your story.
Yeah. So, where do we start?
I know that's always the hard part.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and start with Christian, our son, Christian, who was born with trisomy 21. He will be 8 years old in about 10 days. So he is. I know he doesn't look 8, but he will be 8 years old. And so Christian was born with a rare blood disorder. And when he was born, he was in the NICU for like the first 10 days of his life. And that blood disorder led to him having like low platelet counts.
Oh, wow.
So those low platelet counts ended up, borderline possibly leukemia at some point in his life. And so when he was born, like literally the first 14 months was us in and out of the hospital 2-3 days a week, getting blood work drawn, just trying to make sure that everything was okay. And then, every parent's worst nightmare, pretty much, your child having cancer. And Christian was diagnosed with ANKL on June 19th, 2018.
Wow.
So he was only 14 months old at the time. And at the time we did own the Level Dance Complex. We don't own it anymore, but that was like our source of income and how we, provided for our family. And we ended up having to shut the dance studio down to provide for Christian, to be there for him, every single step of the way.
Yeah.
We didn't shut it down immediately, but what ended up happening was during that time, classes had got we had to take some classes down off of the list for throughout the
Sure.
week, and we were only there 2 times a week versus 6 times a week.
Right.
So my wife and I, we have 4 other children, and at the time we only had 4 children. Now we have 5.
Yes.
and we're really done at this point. Right now. We're really done.
Yeah.
But what we saw was that's where everything started for us. I started using my gift for Christian inside the hospital room. So you guys know, everybody that is listening and everything, if you have a little, you understand the PT, the OT, and all the things that come with it, right?
Totally.
So we were obviously getting that at our home, but then they had to transfer all of that therapy over into the hospital. Now, here's the thing. I'm a firm believer in setting the atmosphere. And if anybody is taking notes, I want you to go ahead and write that down, set the atmosphere. The one thing that I had to do with Christian to make sure that we get through this particular challenge, and not just Christian, but our entire family, was set the atmosphere.
Totally.
Okay. Meaning that when anybody that comes into the room, if you don't have a positive mindset coming into the room,
100.
then respectfully you have to go.
Yep.
Respectfully, you just can't be here, because right now we only need like-minded people in the room.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So I say that because when we had the therapies going on, they also had musical therapy. Now you guys know I'm a dancer,
Yeah.
and I get down, as you can see on my Instagram.
Yes.
Okay, I do this professionally. I did this professionally for 20 years.
Yes.
So quick story, the musical therapists, they come in and they bring in these ukuleles.
Whoa.
And I'm a hip hop guy.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
what are we doing with
listen,
that?
Can't do hip hop on a
no
ukulele.
disrespect. No disrespect. But I'm like, I'm trying to save my son's life here.
Yeah. Right.
Not like, come on. So I said, babe, how about you throw on some James Brown and let's get down with Christian. We'll handle the musical therapy part. You guys don't have to. So we dismissed the musical therapists respectfully. Right?
Yeah.
And we had to set the atmosphere.
Totally.
And I started dancing for Christian. And here's the thing. You guys know that, our littles with Down syndrome, they're born with low muscle tone, right?
Yeah.
Christian wasn't sitting up by himself until I started dancing with him.
Oh, love it. Love it.
You set the atmosphere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Set the atmosphere.
Mhm.
Yep.
So when I started
Awesome.
setting him up, started dancing with him. And then my wife started recording us these father-son dance routines that we were doing, these dances, and they ended up going viral on the internet. And that's how you guys discovered us.
Wow.
Because we saw how much love and compassion that people were giving us and also receiving from a father dancing with his son. And we just wanted to continue to have something great throughout a trying time and turn it around. And I'll leave it here. I oftentimes say, when we change the mind, we change the game. Okay. When you change your mindset, right, you change the game. And one thing that I learned in that situation was I learned that Christian has something a little extra, right? All pun intended.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I understood that sometimes you got to use your gift to make the shift.
100%.
So I started using my gift to make the shift in my son's life, using my gift of dance to help him through his cancer treatments, which ended him being 149 days and killing it in half the time projected.
Wow.
So he beat cancer in less than half the time.
That's amazing.
And
You're
less
right.
than 2 years old. That's unbelievable.
It's all about that attitude, that positive attitude, bringing that positive energy. I mean,
that's huge. You always say self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yep, always. And 100%. And when Gigi was born too, it was like, I got to set the stage. If I'm walking around like, oh, poor me, that's how other people are going to be. Like, I'm walking around going, I hit the jackpot. Look what I got. You know what I mean? And then people will follow. And that's exactly what we've done. And that's what you do. I love that. That is so awesome. See, this is why I didn't want to go too deep, because I wanted to hear it all from you. I wanted to hear it from your heart. And I legit have had like goosebumps almost the whole time you were talking.
Wow.
So keep using that, brother. Keep using that. Get it out there.
Yeah, Nancy, there's this quote that I live by, and I think that this benefits the world at large. Okay, no matter who you are, no matter what you believe, no matter what, right? lyrics affect the mind, rhythm affects the will, and the melody affects the emotions.
Wow.
Show me what a person is listening to, and I'll show you their lifestyle.
Yes. Wow.
Right?
Love that.
That's by Bishop Michael Pitts.
Wow.
And when I read his book, Power Shifters, it literally helped me like shift my mindset that, wow, wait a minute, like, what I'm listening to through what I'm seeing, what I'm consuming is literally who I'm going to be.
Totally.
Right?
And who your kids are going to be.
Who my kids are going to be.
You're setting that stage for them. Yes.
I took that on, and I live by that, because so I'm careful with what I listen. This is why I said set the atmosphere, because inside the hospital room, we're like, hey, like, we can't have no negativity in this is a very, very delicate moment right now.
Yes.
Like, we don't have any room for error.
Yes.
In someone's attitude or something like that, it has to be dismissed. You don't know how many times me and my wife have had to, like, we actually had to dismiss the head oncologist from the team.
No.
Yeah.
Bringing in negativity?
Because he wouldn't give our son the x-ray that we asked for. My son he had, like, around round 4, Christian had this crazy cough, and he had pneumonia the year prior. So we just wanted to make sure that it wasn't pneumonia. And when he had pneumonia, it was undetectable the year prior. Right. Ooh. So we wanted to make sure that it wasn't pneumonia, but in fact, it wasn't pneumonia. What happened was the Broviac that was in his chest, like the needle that was in his chest, like it was that size, that was like the size of my finger, and it was in his heart the entire time during treatment. There's 2 tubes or whatever hanging from the actual Broviac. There's one to pump the chemo through and one to draw the blood from. And that there was his chest started getting red. So we found out that it wasn't that he had pneumonia. He didn't have that. What happened was that the needle was actually coming out of his chest, and it was developing a keloid, which could have got infected if we didn't catch that. But the doctor was trying to deny. He denied us 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
After I asked him to give us the x-ray. It wasn't until I had to come out of character a little bit, as a papa bear, to, hey, my son needs this x-ray. If I'm not going to advocate for him, who is?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So I had to make sure that my son got that x-ray. My wife and I were very, very adamant about that. And on top of that, I had a little extra motivation from my wife as well, too. She gave me that look, like, if you don't do something, I will.
Yeah. Well, I think that's such an important thing to say, and it's so true, because you have to go sometimes outside of your comfort zone. Normally you maybe, when Gigi was little, same thing. Like, you don't want to overstep or be mean or say, but you are their voice. You have no choice. So you better step it up and make sure that you're advocating for them in every way possible. If something doesn't feel right, say something. And for some people that makes them uncomfortable. So I think it's really, it's awesome that you're stepping up and saying, that's what you have to do. I think for dads to have to do it, for the moms to have to do it, we have to go outside of our comfort zone sometimes and do what's right for them, for their voice, until they get their own voice. And then it's up to them, right? Yes, absolutely.
Ruffle a little feathers. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm curious then. So you had the dance company first, and then Christian was born, and then he went through leukemia treatment. And now he's in remission, or he's completely leukemia's out of his body now. Yeah. Cancer free. Beautiful. Amazing. So in that time, were you always doing like the motivational speaking or like the life coaching and that side before, or did that come after you started learning these?
That's what God planted in him, right there.
These philosophies. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
It came after.
So I am the shyest person you would probably ever meet.
Would never guess
honestly.
That. Yeah.
6, 7 years ago, I'm not talking to nobody.
Yep. Wow.
I'm very, very like reserved. Like, ask my wife. Like, I'm not.
You're not that guy.
I wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
So okay. I can only be very, very transparent. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Please. Okay. Love that.
So I'm in the hospital, and I had this dream, and inside this dream, there was a centipede crawling up the wall, right? And I know Nancy. I don't like bugs either. I can't stand them. Right. So in the dream, I smacked the centipede. Right. It's gonna get deep, y'all. All right. So
We're
put
hanging
your
on. We
seatbelts
got
on.
it.
I smacked the centipede. The centipede turned into a moth.
Ooh.
Right. And then I smacked the moth. The moth turns into a bat.
Oh.
The bat flew into the ceiling fan. So I'm in the hospital, right? While this is happening in the dream, I'm in the bunk of where I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
And above there is a ceiling fan from our bedroom at our actual house in the hospital. So weird.
Yeah.
So the bat flies into the ceiling fan, and then there's this ring of bats hanging upside down.
What?
The cup of the actual lamp is hanging upside down now, kind of like one of those Asian hats or whatever that they were wearing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. It looked like that, and there's a ring of bats hanging upside down. I wake up and God says, Kenny, look at it from a different perspective.
Okay.
Everything that you're in, the times that you're facing, the financial struggles that you're facing, the time right now with your son battling cancer, you're away from your children and everything right now. They're sleeping on the air mattress at their grandmother's house for the entire summer.
Ugh.
Your wife is crying in the middle of a dirty hospital floor and everything, crying her eyes out. Look at everything from a different perspective.
Angle. Wow.
Don't look at it in the physical.
Right.
Don't look at it like that. Look at it from how I'm seeing it, because my ways are not your ways. My thoughts are not your thoughts. My understanding is not your understanding.
Right.
So you have to understand that in this moment, God was really just dealing with me. Okay. And to answer the question, that is the moment that God said, you're going to speak.
Absolutely.
My wife was actually very prophetic in this, and she's the one that actually called it and said, you're not going to dance. You're going to be speaking in some way, shape, or form. And this is before Christian. This is before we even knew he had cancer or anything like that. This is just us having a dance studio. All I want to do was dance.
Yeah. Wow.
So I would motivate people in the dance world because I was a dance teacher.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right? Nancy, we talked about it. Comfort zone.
Totally.
Right?
Yep.
But to inspire people, to preach, to even preach God's word and all this stuff. Hey, I was like, I'm not touching that.
Yeah.
Because there's a level of responsibility that you have to have because you are held accountable. So I take it very, very seriously, and I watch my words carefully when I'm delivering to people, because people will hang on those words.
Totally.
So I'm very, very careful with that. So the motivation, it came to a point where I had to stop running. I actually just put a video about this. I had to stop running. Yeah. And when I stopped running, like that's when everything truly started to change, because in me running, I'm bringing more storms to more people.
Yes.
Right. So if we stop running from our call, right. Yeah. It's kind of like the story of Jonah. I don't know if you guys remember that story or not or whatever, but the story of Jonah in the big fish and everything. In the story, he pretty much like he ran from the calling of what he was supposed to be doing. And then there was this huge hurricane. There was this huge storm. And in that storm, all the sailors that was on it, they were all frightened but him. And he was like, the only way to really get rid of the storm, I'm paraphrasing, the only way to get rid of the storm is if you throw me overboard. So they end up throwing him overboard. He ends up in isolation inside the big fish. And most people think that was punishment, but really it was protection. Yes. The protection of, I had to be protected from my thoughts. I have to be protected from the things that I want to do. I have to be protected from making bad decisions.
Totally.
So in that, I ended up like I stopped running. Yeah. And when you say yes, everything starts to feel a little bit better.
100%.
Even though you're still gonna have.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And it's so responsible. It is so responsible, because I think people these days, they get a little platform, they're irresponsible with it. And they're not using it for the right way. And I think with me too, like one of my biggest fears was, and for me, it's funny you say that, because my two biggest fears when in life were public speaking and flying.
Yep.
The two things I have to do the most in my life right now. I mean, those are my two biggest fears. And because of her, I've been able to overcome all of that. I've been able to use it all for good. But the number one thing that I was always afraid of is that, and this was, she's 22 now. And I started when she was 20. She had just turned 1. So she was, I'm talking 21 years ago. And back then there wasn't more of a responsibility about having a platform. And people would say, you have to be an expert in anything. You need to be in that field for 10 years. You need to know what you're talking about. So as a scared mom starting these playhouses, I was like, kind of going back, like, I'm not an expert. I'm here to learn from all y'all. Like, I want to learn from everybody who's out there. And to this day, that's still how I feel. But I do feel like, I love that you understand the responsibility of being an influencer. And doing it the right way and motivating people the right way and letting people see the good that's out there. I mean, I love you. Franco said I was going to love you, but I love you more than I thought I was going to love you. You are amazing. Really amazing. And I'm just so blessed. And I love what you're doing with the dads. I saw the video, that awesome video with the dads when you got their dad. Because I feel, for the moms, we know we do that. But I love that you're bringing the dads into the fold. I think that's a really important piece. The dads a lot of times are the fixers. This is something you're not going to fix. It's a 24/7 diagnosis. And let's celebrate it. Oh, yeah. Let's make it all that it is. Let's dance. Let's do whatever it takes. Yeah. So I love 100%. That. I love what you're doing. I think it's so amazing. How do your other kids, for me, when Gigi was born, my biggest fear, just based on everything that happened, that we got condolences and not celebrations and all of that at the hospital and just kind of knocking me down. We were now that family and nobody wanted to have eye contact with us anymore. Took good care of me medically, but I was like, you take a step down and everything. And like you said, I don't want that negativity near me. I'm just not that person. And I want 100%. To always bring positive energy. And my biggest fear is, what was going to happen to my other kids? If they were already making me feel this way, trying to take me down, how am I going to protect my kids from that? And when I think back, and that's probably one of the first things. So we have 61 locations all across the country. And one of the first things, whether from, we serve from prenatal diagnosis all the way through adults. But one of the first things, those pregnant moms, when they come in, that's one of their biggest things. What about my other kids? And my biggest gift that I get to share is I could not have made my kids who they are today without her. Amen. They are who they are today because she was in their life, not because of me. Wow. They are who they are because of her. So my biggest fear was for them. And now I thank God literally every single day for who they are and who he made them because of her. And, by shedding that life and sharing, that's why we have the playhouses. That's why we do what we do, is letting other people experience this incredible love and inspiration and motivation. And that builds advocates, not just with siblings, but with anybody who comes in here to volunteer. Everybody leaves here with energy, excitement, empowerment, and they want to be a piece of it. And that's the kind of world I want to live in. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 100%. I think that, my kids, they've grown to be very responsible for Christian. But they also treat him like they treat each other. Like they don't
totally
any different. Like it's like, like they don't even think. I think they forget that he even has Down syndrome sometimes. It's like, it's just like, all right, man, like Christian, shut up. Like
exactly.
Whatever. Like
tie your own shoe.
They don't
put your seatbelt on.
Exactly. They don't put them in a box or anything like that. Which for him, it's great because he's grown, right? And Christian will go back at them. Like he will go back and forth with them. And I love it because it's like, yo, you're not treating him different just because he has Down syndrome or anything like that. You're treating him like you would treat your siblings. Totally. So this stuff is going to happen.
So important.
But I will say that the one thing I'm very, very proud of. So my oldest is 21.
Oh, cool.
So she lives in New Jersey. We live in Texas now, and so we have the 4 boys here in Texas. So my wife is the only woman in the house.
Oh boy.
But I'll say this: our biggest fear was, can we leave our oldest son? Like our oldest son is 16.
Yeah.
So can we leave our oldest son for an hour or two while me and my wife go take a date? Like go to dinner or something like that, just for each other. Like that was like one of the biggest things. And it's just like, but we're able to from time to time, like
Yeah.
it's not often, but we're able to time to time where they're responsible enough to where
Totally.
my 16-year-old, my 11-year-old, they can go ahead and take care of the younger two.
Yeah.
You know, and we're not far or nothing like that, but it's like, man, like it feels good that we've raised them to a level where they're able to be responsible enough that
Totally.
if anything was to happen, we know that they'll be able to take care of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it's huge.
that's
And
amazing.
to get back into what you were saying earlier too, just about like the importance of Gigi's getting antsy.
We're getting the attitude.
The importance of like the siblings making sure that they're not, they're not treating them like they're like some porcelain doll or something. Like the fact that they're actually like riffing and like being siblings and like having those conflict, but also like those great times together. It's like that's what builds you as a person.
Right.
Like that time when you're growing up and like being able to, have the friendships with those around you, but then also be able to, face issues with each other and being able to then build off of that. Like that's just what builds a strong person.
Huge.
So the fact that Christian had that in his life to be able to have his other 4 siblings being able to, work around and have that. And it's also, I mean, for them too, fantastic because now when they go into life, their approach is always going to be, if they see anyone that may be different in any possible way, they're never really going to see that.
No.
They're always just going to see the person for the person.
Always.
And the nice part is that they're going to have their peers see Christian for Christian rather than Christian for being a person with Down syndrome.
And then that's where that ripple effect comes in and is so important. Where I'm thinking, where in Texas are you?
So we're in North Texas. We're in the like by Prosper, Aubrey area.
Okay.
Where is that one?
How far would you guys be from like Dallas then?
45 minutes outside of Dallas.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
Well, we were
gotcha.
we're opening in Dallas. So the Dallas Rangers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually the Rangers are helping Jake Berger. So Jake, I don't know if you've heard of Jake Berger. He plays for the Texas.
He's on the Texas Rangers.
Rangers,
he's their third baseman. Him and his wife had a child with Down syndrome about 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And they reached out. They were on the podcast back in November, and now they're doing a tour around the country as Jake goes to different ballparks. They were just in Cincinnati yesterday, so they went to the Cincinnati Gigi's Playhouse location.
I love it.
They're going to be in Chicago next week, so we'll have them here. And they're doing a whole tour, just building up awareness for Down syndrome and for their foundation for Gigi's Playhouse. But they also want to start the Gigi's Playhouse in Dallas.
Yeah.
So
and they've got some major. Yeah, yesterday they were at our Cincy Playhouse, so that kicked off the Gigi's Playhouse tour. So they will be where they're going to be playing. They're not only bringing some of the Rangers to the local Playhouse, they're bringing the players, the team that they're playing. So yesterday we had people from the Rangers and the Reds because we went to our Cincy location, didn't we, Gigi? Yesterday, yes. It was amazing, wasn't it?
I love it.
Wasn't amazing because she had to get up at 3:30. She set her alarm. She comes in at 3:30 because we had to drive there. And it's like 5 hours away. We had to be there by 10. She comes in. She's like, do we still have to go? I'm like, yeah, baby. Keep it going. Come on.
We have to go.
You just got to do it. You got to do what you got to do. And it was amazing. But being able to be there and talk to all these dads. Yeah. So I'm kind of in this great, amazing, thank you, God moment of understanding young dads more. I mean, the average age to have a child with Down syndrome is 27. A lot of our families are very young dads. And watching all these baseball players yesterday, 2 of them had children. 2 of them, their wives were pregnant. And we were talking and like just them understanding that, oh, wait a minute, you have to have diapers that are newborn size. Like he was like, we have like this other one. They're like, no, man, you got to go to the store. You have to have all this stuff. Like it was so cute. And that's what really made me understand, that new dad, first baby, hard enough anyways. And then you get that diagnosis. So for these dads to have a positive person like you to get on there and see what you're doing is such a gift from God. Being able these players yesterday, they've got everything in life that they need. And then something comes up that there's that was, nothing you can change about it.
Well, yeah, I think that one of the things my Coach Meg, when I started my speaking career in coaching, she said, Kenny, what shows up when you do and what qualities do you bring into the room? Right. And I'm like, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a 2-part question, but said as one.
Yeah.
Right. What shows up when you do and what qualities do you bring into the room?
Mm-hmm.
So when I show up online or when I show up at the supermarket or wherever I show up, right, I know confidence just walked into the room. I know faith just walked into a room. I know a man of God just walked into the room. I
Yes.
know all these things that just walked into the room, and I'm confident in that because it's what I carry, right? So it's almost like, biblically speaking, the spirit of heaven is in you, the spirit of heaven is upon you, right? That means when you walk into a room, they should see it in you and on you. They don't see Kenneth Allen Thomas. They see what God has given me, and they see like that anointing and how that's just flowing.
Yep.
That's what they see. So it's not really about me,
Right.
that at all. Like, it's not about me at all.
100%.
I'm just being used as a vessel,
Yes.
in this life to help people, direct them, and listen, we face these challenges daily, right? But the one thing that I know is being a father, to a son who has Down syndrome has been it has changed my life like so much, and has been the greatest gift that I could ever ask God for, honestly, because like I have people in my family that have special needs, but I never had to take care of them.
Right.
I never had to be with them every day. I never had to learn all these different things, but with Christian, it was every day is something new. Every day for me, I'm in the seasons, they change, and they change quickly.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, okay, this is where we're at now.
Yeah.
And understanding that you're not necessarily going with the flow. You are the
right. Yes.
You are the flow. Don't go with the flow, be the flow.
Yes. I love
Right.
it.
And so one of the things that I oftentimes say to a lot of people, especially married couples, I don't want to turn this into a marriage conference or nothing like that, but I'll say this, right? We oftentimes talk about balance, right? And trying to balance all these different things. Okay. If you have multiple kids, understand that there's a different weight to each kid.
Totally.
They're all different
weight to each kid.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're all different. They're all nothing is going to be the same. So especially when you have a child with special needs, it's going to be a different type of weight.
Totally.
So what I recommend is developing a rhythm. So I'm a choreographer, right? I'm a dancer.
Yep.
And the one thing that we do is we dance in rhythm. We don't dance in balance. We dance in rhythm.
Love that.
Because the balance, there's never going to be a balance because there's different weight to it.
Totally. That's awesome.
Right?
Yes.
So that's how you have to see. That's how I see life. That's how I see my marriage. That's how I see business. That's how I see faith. Like, everything has a rhythm to it.
Yes. I love it. That is awesome. And I love that you're so humble. I love that it's not, this isn't you. People come to me and thank me all the time. And I go, yeah, it's not me. It's not me.
Yeah.
Don't thank me. We're all doing this together. We're all in this life together. And how can we make each other better? That's it, period.
And I love how you said that too. The fact that you said that you're a vessel for this energy that you have.
Boom.
And I think and to go back to the father thing too, I think that you're really a vessel of pride for a lot of dads out there.
Totally.
I think that there's a lack of representation in the Down syndrome community from fathers, like on social media and through influencers and stuff. Because kind of what you said is that, you're the person who has to try to, help from the sidelines, or the fixer or something like that. And I also think too,
but why do you think that is?
I don't know
to cut you off, but why?
I don't know. I don't think it's purposeful, at least from what I see, and you please give your opinion too. But I just think that it's kind of seen from being a part of the Down syndrome community. It seems like, the advocacy and stuff like that is more of like a mom thing. And seems
I don't
like
know why that is.
And maybe it's just because of the representation that's out there, and what you see is that you then assume, rather than actually thinking, I could be doing my own thing. So that's why I love the fact that you've gone out there and done this, and being that person and that role model for other dads, even if it's not about social media, it's just about your pride that you have for your kids, and then also for your advocacy.
Well, and I do think that that's something that we're focusing on more too, because we're drawn to
dads
it.
Out there.
We're drawn to it because of the energy, like your energy that you bring can help so many. And I think it's such an important energy to share, because I
don't think for dads, I don't think it's actually necessary for them to be on social media. Like, you can if you want.
Yeah.
But the representation does matter.
Totally.
Right?
Exactly.
You have to show up.
It does matter. Like, I think when you show up and you show out, for this community, like you're inspiring the next generation of fathers that come behind us. That, hey, listen, you don't have to be ashamed of your child, right?
Totally.
You don't have to. And I think that there's this misrepresentation and misconception about how dads are with their children. Yes, there you have those horrible stories that are out there, but I believe more times than not that there's a high percentage of dads that care so much about their children and that are heavily involved, much like how I am. Listen, I'm at every baseball game, every basketball game. I coach. I'm with I dance with Christian. That's his activity.
Yep.
If he wants to do soccer, if he wants to do baseball, I'm all in.
Right.
On top of, being a husband, making sure my prayer life is right, making sure there's so much weight that we carry, right? But I think the one thing that, this is not all men, but some men, the reason why we may not see it is because they get into protection mode. Because if somebody says something bad about my kid, I'm liable to be slick with the mouth, and it's not going to be pretty for someone. You know what I'm saying? On social media, it can get real crazy.
Yes.
So some guys they feel like, you know what? I'm just going
step back.
I'm gonna bow out.
Yep.
Yeah. So I understand, right? So you gotta have, in order to do this, you gotta be able to have that thick skin and understand that people are gonna be people.
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys a quick story. So we just moved here to Texas. We're from New Jersey. So
cool.
I've been there my whole life, 40 years, right?
Oh, wow.
And we moved here to Texas about 5 months ago. And sometimes when we go out to eat as a family, right, we oftentimes see things that we never really saw in New Jersey.
Interesting.
Meaning how people look at Christian. In New Jersey, it was just like, oh, like cool, like that's Christian.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, people love them and all of that.
Yeah.
They love them here too.
Totally.
However, the eyebrows raised a little bit more.
Really?
Right?
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot more here. Even
Yeah.
at dinner for my son's 16th birthday, there was this one woman we were sitting next to, they were sitting at the table, I guess, across from us. And Christian is loud. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like what you guys see on social media, you see the dancing Christian, but you don't see the loud Christian.
Okay.
The Christian that will scream his head off, right, until he gets what he wants.
Yes.
Okay. So sometimes, but that's just how he communicates sometimes, because he doesn't have his full vocabulary just yet.
Yeah.
Right. He talks, but it's not fluent as of yet.
Yeah.
Right. And he screams, and this woman turns and says, and I'm like,
hey,
what? Listen, lady. I'm a man of God.
Yeah.
But listen.
Yeah, right? Yes. So interesting.
I'm not trying to be ignorant here, but at the same time, we have to have some level of understanding.
Yep.
That, hey, he's just not there just yet.
Absolutely.
You got to get, I think as a society, we need to learn how to operate with a level of grace for one another.
Yes, totally.
And that's the one thing that in the world, I believe we lack the most.
100%.
We lack grace for each other.
Exactly.
We feel that once we see something online, or we see a child that is, that you think that they're not acting normal, or you think that they're acting up or acting out of pocket,
right?
But you don't understand what happens inside these four walls.
Exactly.
I don't want to keep them trapped here because it's going to make you feel uncomfortable.
Right.
So
wow, that's really interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, the East Coast, they're a little louder, a little bolder. They probably just.
I think life just goes on. You just don't even
they
think
just keep
about
moving. They're not going to stop for something like that.
Yeah, it's a little.
You know what I mean?
Culture.
Wow, that's really interesting.
So true.
So interesting.
Absolutely true.
Here all right. She got mad. Look at, she put down her iPad. She's like, good. You don't want my questions? I'm out. I'm out.
Come on, Gigi. Come
All
on
right,
with the
Gigi,
question.
he's ready
What you
for you
got?
now. She's
You
been
good to go?
dying. I know it's our fault, and we tend to get in that when we really like.
Well, that's the thing.
When
When
we
we
really
enjoy
like
the
a guest,
conversations that we're in, then that just happens naturally. Sorry, Gigi.
Once I saw her fold it up, and then I'm like, okay, we better.
She's
and then
like,
then
"Oh
when I
my
start put it on the ground, like
God."
I'm out.
Okay. Gigi actually's got some really good questions.
I know.
too.
I'm curious
Some
about it.
personal
Let's,
stuff.
Okay.
let's go, Gigi. What you got?
Let's do it.
How did you meet your wife?
How did I meet my wife?
Ooh.
Woo.
Good one.
Well,
Gigi.
All right, you want the spice, Gigi? You want the spice? I can give you the
She
spice.
likes spicy stories.
I do.
All right, so I met my wife at the dance studio. So
Oh.
our oldest daughter, um, she's not biologically mine, okay? So our first two, my wife had our first two children, by someone else, and I started teaching Nana, our oldest daughter, at the age of 7. And at this time,
Oh.
me and Josie, we weren't even like an item or anything like that. Like we were just friends. Like she was a parent, I was a teacher,
Totally.
and that's just all it was. So, and this happened for a couple of years. And my wife actually ended up getting married to someone else in between that time
What?
and
Really?
moved to Hawaii.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She moved to Hawaii, and then several months later she ended up breaking up with her ex-husband. They end up flying back over to Jersey. She hits me up on Facebook and said, "Hey,
Did you hear that?
coming back home, and I want Nana to come back into dance." I said, "Oh, all right, cool." I said, "Why are you coming back home?" And we start talking, we start chopping it up because we were friends,
Yeah.
and she was going through a breakup. I was going through a breakup.
Oh,
So
there
we
we
were kind of
go.
like just like, we were going back and forth and telling each other, what was going on. We were there for one another. And then one day, once she came back home, on February 26th, I was driving from my dance class that I was teaching in North Jersey. She was supposed to go out with her friend for her birthday that was coming up. So her friend canceled on her, and I said, "Hey, I'm free. I'll take you out. Are you down to
Love
go get some food? I'm hungry. Are you hungry?" So she was like, "Sure." So I took her to this nice Thai restaurant, and started putting the moves on her, as you would say.
And
And
that was it.
and then I knew she was feeling me, and I was feeling her. And after that, the rest is history. We put it in the bag, and February 26th, we started a
Wow.
life together.
That's awesome.
That's
And then how
very,
long
very
until you
cool.
got
That was-
married?
So we got married 2 years later.
Wow.
So
That's
so
awesome.
we got married 2 years later. Yep, we got married July 15th.
That's
Yep,
awesome.
July 15th, 2016.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
All right.
That's so
Good
cool.
question.
It's a great story.
Yeah, it is past, but they're celebrating their anniversaries. All right, what do we got next?
What is your favorite thing about your kids?
Oh, the favorite thing about your
Favorite
kids.
thing about my kids is they all have a mind of their own.
Mm.
They literally do. I can't really pinpoint and say any of them are quite like me or their mother.
They're a perfect
They
mix.
all are they're all like they actually have a mind of their own. Do they have similar qualities? I believe so.
Yeah.
But I believe that my children, they have a mind of their own. They're able to think for themselves, but within boundaries, of course.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that is my favorite thing about them, that they ask a lot of questions.
Mm.
They challenge us as parents.
Awesome.
They really do.
That's awesome.
They challenge us as parents. And although it is sometimes frustrating, it is a great quality to have, because when you grow up in life, you want to be able to ask questions. You want to be able to challenge certain things.
Sure.
So the fact that they do it now early,
That's
I think
awesome.
that is a good quality to have.
Yeah, shaping themselves and who they're going to be, and not just depending on
They're introspective.
everybody else's.
100%.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, go ahead.
What is the funniest thing one of your kids have done?
Oh.
One of the funniest things? Oh my God. So, okay. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. So Christian has alopecia, right?
Mm.
Okay.
So he doesn't have any hair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh.
And he'll see me shaving my beard, right? And sometimes he'll take my razor and he'll shave his head, but he doesn't have any
You're like,
hair.
you don't need to do that, brother. You're good.
So
Love
my
it.
wife has these videos catching him shaving his head,
Shaving his
and
bald
it's
head.
like, dude, what are you doing, right? So,
That's awesome.
the other funny thing is, I shared this with my wife the other day. You guys you're gonna have to think about this for a second. But my 11-year-old, so he's growing, okay? He's growing and he's developing, rather, okay? And as he's developing, he starts asking me these questions, and I'm giving him answers. And he's like, I said, dude, I said, man, listen, like I already seen everything, brother. Like I done changed your butt and everything from from when you was a baby and all of that. He's like, you changed my butt. He was like, so then whose butt do I have now?
Right.
This was really literal.
He's like, you better. Yeah, that's right.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
So
I'm like,
funny things.
yo, I'm like, wait, what?
That is awesome.
I didn't laugh in front of him because I was being super serious, Dad, at the moment.
Right.
But I go back to my wife and I told her this, and
Oh my gosh.
we're
Crying.
hollering.
Yeah.
Like, that's so crazy.
That's awesome.
I love to dance. What is your favorite dance move?
Oh, what is your favorite dance move?
Oh my goodness.
Mm.
I don't have a favorite dance move. I have a favorite dance style.
Mm.
Okay.
So my favorite dance style is called locking. It's a really old dance.
You know what that is, G?
It was actually one of the first street dances that
Really?
came out in the 70s. So it was started by a guy. His name is Don Campbell. He's since passed a couple of years ago, and we called him Don Campbell Lock Campbell. So the original name of the dance was called the Campbell Lock, and they shortened it to locking a couple of years later. In his group called the Lockers were actually one of the first groups to ever, or the first street dance group to perform on the Grammys.
Oh, very cool.
Very cool.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll have to Google that
So
one.
You're gonna have to learn
That
how to lock,
style
G.
is it was the one style that kind of propelled street dance right before hip hop was coming out, and all these other dance styles.
Okay.
So it's a pillar in the dance community.
Yeah.
Very cool. We're gonna look that one up. Yeah, we might have to have him show us his moves a little later. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
I want you to say that one or no?
He doesn't have his dance company. You can ask him, but he doesn't have a dance company anymore.
Oh.
She wanted to be in your dance company, but I go, she doesn't.
Oh man!
But when we get, we're gonna
when
get together. Because I have to meet you in person, and when we do, you guys are gonna break some.
Let's do
you're
that.
gonna do that, yeah, for sure.
Maybe what we can do is we can get the entire, community together.
Yeah.
And we can host maybe a couple of classes or even a dance event or something like that. Maybe kind of cool, where because we used to do that back in Jersey. We used to do a down to dance type of thing.
Well, we've got, besides from our playhouses, we have a virtual playhouse. And with the virtual playhouse, we serve families in 93 countries now. 93 countries.
Come on.
We are doing one-on-one literacy and math tutoring on 6 continents. Can you believe? Like, I literally hear this. I just thank God every single day. And everything's still free. Everything we do is free. So whether it's one-on-one speech therapy, one-on-one literacy and math tutoring, physical fitness therapy, therapeutic fitness programs, nutrition, career programs, prenatal diagnosis support, all of it. Like, everything we do is free. And our virtual playhouse does a lot of that. That might be a really cool place to host the dance party.
Yeah.
And the playhouses, with all the playhouses, they can still participate and do on-site watch parties or dance parties up there. That would be really cool. So we need to talk. We got to get you to our national playhouse. We're in Chicago. We got to get you to the national playhouse because we got to hook up and just there's a lot more that we need to be doing together. I love we provide programming. Yeah. What we do here, we do over 350,000 program hours a year for free.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that
Wow.
insane? I know we're
It's a
a
lot.
Come on.
$37 million not-for-profit that gives everything away for free. And
I love it.
I know. And thank you, God, we just continue to get amazing people like you that come on here and inspire the next group. Who else can we serve more? We just want to serve and partner with amazing people who are out there doing these things. We've got these, all have these amazing platforms, and I'm just so grateful when we all come together and try to create that
Yeah.
change in this world that we need. Like we say here, we've spent the last 21 years at Gigi's Playhouse getting our individuals with Down syndrome ready for the world. It is now time to get the world ready for them.
Woo!
Right,
That's
baby?
a bar. Let's go,
Yes.
Nancy.
That woman who shished your son. No. We gotta get out to the masses now.
Are you done?
Oh, sorry. She's mad at me. Okay. Sorry, Gigi. See, once I start preaching, and usually it's when I'm drinking when my kids are like, oh, God, there she goes. I don't even have a drink. I'll stop preaching.
Amen.
Okay. Sorry, Gigi. Go ahead.
If you had one message to the world, what would it be?
I would say be unshakable in all you do and understand your apex. Operate at your apex. Operate at your apex. And what do I mean by operating at your apex? Most leaders end up plateauing. And the reason why they plateau is because they get too high on themselves and they think that there's nothing more that they can go after. So if you operate at your apex, number one, the A stands for authority. The P stands for preeminence. The E stands for endurance. And the X stands for the X factor. You are the X factor.
Boom.
Right?
I like it.
You are the X
I do
factor. So when you operate with an unshakable mindset and understand that you are serving an unshakable kingdom, right? Therefore, everything and all things will flow and they will not stop because you are operating at your apex.
Oh, that could be a new favorite right there.
It might be.
Wow. I love that.
A
There's no
phenomenal philosophy
ceiling,
to
no
live
cap.
by.
There's always more to do that you're going to be. Yeah, that's amazing.
Always do it.
I
Always operate
love
at
it.
your highest
Yeah.
potential. Yeah.
I love it. Well, on top of that, so what do you think, our show's called A Little Something Extra. What do you think is your something extra? What is your something extra, your superpower that allows you to do everything that you're doing and that challenges you, that,
Motivates you to be who you are in this world.
I'm gonna be honest. The extra thing that I have is what God has truly put in me, right? I think that's what truly helps me and separates me and makes me stand out,
Yep.
right? I've lived a life of leadership from the age of 10 years old, right? And being that I've had these challenges in my life, I've been able to operate with a sense of what I would like to call resilience.
Mhm.
And being able to have a sense of resilience in being able to bounce back after things get crazy in life, because I understand that the challenges are going to happen. It's
Mhm.
inevitable. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care how popular you are. I don't care if you are the most famous person in the world. You could be Dwayne Johnson. You can be Beyonce. It doesn't matter,
Mm-mm.
right? The reality is that we are all going to face some form of challenge. And I think the little something extra that I have in myself is knowing that no matter what, God is always going to come through. And having that mindset and understanding that, right? I never fail, right? Because he has already won.
Yeah.
Like listen, guys, like you want to talk about preaching, I could preach all day. Listen, the steps of a righteous man are ordered, right? And understanding that, I know that my steps are already ordered,
Mhm.
meaning God already went before me. All
Yep.
I'm doing is just following suit,
Yep.
right? So when you say what's the extra thing that I have within myself, it's just understanding that the Most High is ordering my steps,
Totally.
and I love sticking out like a sore thumb instead of being stuck together like four fingers.
Love that. I love it. When you first said like right in the beginning, you said by God has put in me is you're something extra. I think to add to that is recognizing it. You recognizing it is huge, and you're recognizing, and then you came to that at the end. But as soon as you said, I think it's what God put in me. I'm like, oh, brother, no, it's not. I mean, it's that you are recognizing it and you're using it and you're serving in that capacity. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Damn,
Yeah.
we got
And that's the thing. When you start serving in it, because can I tell you the truth? People saw this stuff in me, and I didn't see it in myself.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest. I did not.
Yep.
I did not say. I don't know what y'all talking about. Oh, you're gonna be doing this. Oh, you're gonna be doing that. Oh, I see this in you, man. I don't know what you talking about.
Yeah.
That ain't me. No, I'm just gonna dance and everything. Like no.
Right.
Yeah,
And
it's true. Good leaders
when I
don't recognize
started to truly embrace my calling.
Yes.
I say this all the time. I traded in my career for my calling.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
That's a huge difference.
Yep. Absolutely.
That is a huge difference right there.
Yep.
You can have a career, but at some point, a career is going to end.
Mm-hmm.
But a calling will last generations after generation after generation after generation.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
That's the difference.
Yep. I love that. Well, I know Jeej has her tips now. Jeej, do you want to talk about your tips?
Can you say tips?
I did say tips.
Tips.
Woo! Sing it. All right. What are your tips here?
Motivating others.
Tips on motivating others.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then take it slow.
All right.
I know.
Everyone's got to understand you when you're motivating people.
Right.
Sorry.
I always be positive and have lots of energy.
Woo!
Always be positive and have lots of energy.
Okay.
I just said that.
I know.
Just
And
clarify.
don't have your brother repeat you.
Make sure others feel what you say. Use your emotions to tell you a story.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to be different or think different.
Don't be afraid to be different or think different. Yep.
Always leave them wanting more.
Yes, always leave them wanting more. And you, my brother, have left us wanting more. I know we have to end it, but you have left us wanting more. So you have lived by Gigi's tips. And I have to tell you, we definitely need to spend more time together. We are going to.
I know. I think we might have to have a reoccurring guest.
Yeah,
Might have to come back
really
on.
fantastic. And I just love, you can it's like you can articulate my life and my feelings. Like I feel exactly the same way. And I feel like I've just been like, I'm on this treadmill. So I really never get time to sit back and take it in. You know, when I think about, sometimes I go through pictures from a week and I'm like, we did that. Like, Gigi spoke at the United Nations last week. Did you tell him what you spoke at the United Nations on?
My life and why I belong here.
Her life and why she belongs here. She did a 10-minute PowerPoint on her life and why she belongs here. She talked about not only why babies like her should be able to be born, but she talked about labels that people put on people. So she talked about, we've got a pit bull, our dog, Hugo, who she loves, the most sweetest little dog ever, and the labels that are put on him. It was so, I mean, this was that God moment. Talk about your boyfriend, of course. I know he comes in. I can't believe he's only come into the conversation at the end of this because she brings her boyfriend into everything. But sitting back watching that was, I had to speak after her, and I couldn't, like, the lump in my throat was so big. I was so proud of the way that God just went inside of her. She articulated every single word. Her diction was perfect. I was nervous because there was a live stream that went with it. And I was afraid. This was my bad. I was afraid to go live with the live stream in case just, what if she stumbled? What if the translators, because she was speaking to the world and everybody was sitting in these different spaces with the translator. What if the translator wasn't getting it properly because her speech? And I mean, she enunciated every word. It was amazing. So check out her speech at the United Nations. It will be worth your time. Show your wife. I think your wife will love it. And that's just, when you look at stuff like that, that's the culmination of all the work that we've all put in. That's the point where, like, she knows that, like, I'm telling you, you'll see it when she knew she was there to represent, she was there to give a voice to a population of people that need a voice, and she knew why God put her in that moment. And it just blew me away. Yeah, check it out when you get a chance. It was beyond awesome.
I would definitely say, I think Christian is actually making his way up here right now.
Oh, I hear something.
Christian. Yeah, you hear him,
We
right?
might get a Christian sighting.
I think he's making his way on upstairs.
Come on.
Okay, Papa. Say hi.
Oh. Oh, hey.
Oh.
Oh, there he goes. What's going on?
Hello.
Hi.
Say Christian.
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. How are you doing?
Say good.
Oh, you love Daddy?
No.
Oh. Are you having a good day? Hi,
Say,
buddy.
Are you having a good day?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I'm over you.
Okay.
So
See,
that was my
again,
cameo.
you know
That
what,
was
though?
my quick appearance.
You know what he did? He left us wanting more. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yep. He's out.
Gigi took your motivational tips and he
Yeah.
left us wanting more. Well, that's all right. We'll meet him.
There it
Yeah,
is.
it's okay.
We'll
Yes,
meet him
we
in
got a
person.
chance.
Yeah.
So thank you again so
Yeah.
much for coming on. We want to have you back. We want to meet you in person, which I know we
Maybe-
will, whether it's
For
down
sure.
there or we get you out here.
Maybe for the conference.
Yeah.
Maybe for the conference too.
I think you guys got to
Yeah.
get my wife on as well too, because I think her perspective is even.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. I had some questions
Yeah.
and stuff too. I want to talk about your wife.
Yeah,
so
we
yes,
still have
next
more
time we have you come on, we'll have the both of you guys come on. 'Cause
That
you
would-
guys are
Of
a
course.
pretty incredible duo.
Yes,
guys
you
are
are.
awesome.
You guys are changing
Thank
the
you.
world, and we're so grateful for every second of it. We're here for you. Whatever we can do to help do things, pull other people together, maybe do this global dance party. That could be really cool. There's just
Good.
so many
So
things
much
we
we
can
can
do.
do.
For him, like that.
Let's do it.
Then you could, yes, then
Then
Gigi
Gigi
can show her
dance
dance moves. Yeah, she's waiting for
I
that.
love it.
So, all right, brother, thank you so much. We're so grateful for you, for your wife, for your children, everything that you're doing in the world, the fact that you recognize your calling and you are stepping into it full force. I loved the finding your calling, not your career, or I forgot how you put it, but I loved that you said that. Thank you again so much. We're so blessed to have had this time with you, and we can't wait to see you again.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Sorry, my Christian's still screaming there.
He wanted to say goodbye.
Okay, he's saying bye too. He's signing off.
Yeah.
Awesome. Everybody is born with a little something extra, and sometimes they just have to find it. A little something extra is that superpower that every single one of us has inside that motivates us and drives our passion and makes us do the things that we do.
We're all on the same team. Let's think about how we can make that team as inclusive as we can.
For those of you listening to our podcast right now, you can also check out our video podcast at alittlesomethingextrapodcast.org.